another session of Living Life. Oh, Nirav joined. Oh,
Hi,
great.
Nira.
Great. Here
Hey.
we go. And I am sharing the mind map. Well, we have a lot of topics already covered, but it's not about past topics. It's just to help us to, keep track of what the topics are that we kind of discussed. Last time we discussed a lot about lessons learned. Um, and through it, you know in our network, some people started to say, hey, that's a nice concept, I'd love to be here. And one of these people is Akshali. So welcome to the session, Akshali. Hey, before we kick it off, like, what was about these living life sessions that resonated with you, that inspired you to say, hey, I'd love to be part of it?
Okay. Like firstly, living life is something what I want. Actually, I'm a student, and as a student, I'm very curious about what will happen, what will I do, what will be the next plan, or what will happen tomorrow. Many questions I have in my mind. So I want to live a life which is of peace, which have some patience, and I become capable enough to wait for good opportunities, not just going and going. That's why what this inspires me to have one session with you.
All right, so I think discovering life before knowing what version of life is good to us. It's one of the things that we pitched in the past. Let me see. Um, yeah, follow our intuition was part of that as well. And because I think when we're young, like you're the youngest here. Actually, it means that the practical essence of life or experience of life are still to come, right? I mean, your life so far has been mostly within your family home, I guess. So it's a lot of intuition about where will I go, what fits my life, right? All right, that's good to know. Thank you for definitely being interested, and great to have you here. um let's kick off with someone who's been here before, so that you kind of feel, how things are. Uh, Robin, you actually want to take a jab? You don't need to go through your whole week, but just pick the things that like bothered you this week or inspired you this week. And what do you want to start with?
Let me think about this.
Oh yeah, okay.
So yeah,
Take
yeah. This week for me has been about finding balance. You know,
balance, finding
yeah,
balance. Yes.
yeah. So ever since I moved to Porto, I have been more social, and that has been the priority for the last few months. And this week onwards, I'm like, okay, need to start focusing more on work as well. I need to find a balance between the social activities, my personal time, my hobbies, and work as well, because I do want to upskill and hopefully get my income up, so I can enjoy a lot more. So that's the kind of eye opener thing for me this week. Yeah.
I'd like to add some thoughts to this concept of finding balance. I believe balance of it depends, right? Like, do you take it in a short term? Let's say today, balance in today. Do you take it in a week, a month, or even a year, right? My personal version of that is that if you choose to take balance every day, I'm quite sure that you're gonna feel healthy, because if you add healthy into it, you make sure that you work, family, social, friends, you probably get a nice feeling. However, it doesn't allow you to deep dive into an experience if you balance out every day. And so that's where the question is, how do I see that balance? um, from my personal contribution here, um, like 3 years working with Americans has been a lot of like stress. I knew it. I knew a startup, Americans, big plans, big ambitions. I think I worked like 12, 14, 16 hours sometimes a day, because, managing across different time zones. But I reflect now back and say that is me. I sometimes choose to just go in, go hard, and then I need like a 6 months break, like, I'm not saying it's good. I'm not saying it's bad either, but it puts into perspective, in like in what time period do you put that? I do think that eventually you have to balance out, but in your case, Robin, you've been at home for many years of your life, right? So you
Yeah.
plunging into the
Think
social life for 3 months, I think that's kind of a catch up. Like your social life wasn't developed at all when you stayed at home. So hey, it feels good to just plunge yourself, right? Um, hey Nirav, you're probably how do you see that? You have similar lifestyle as Robin in the past, being at home a lot. How do you see that coming up? I think we've got probably some travels for you ahead. So, you want to share anything about balance? How do you see that balance, or not having a balance?
Yeah, currently, I in my life I do not have work-life balance. So probably in the future I have to manage that. So my traveling maybe in future I will learn more about this work-life balance. Maybe after this travel, God
Well,
knows. Because currently I'm living in my parents' house, so it's hard to manage sometime.
so if that's said, right, what is the thing that is currently most unbalanced, you think, in your current life because of how your cultural, um,
Mm.
reality, right? Social and cultural reality.
It is so many things I can say. I have to think about it now.
It might be a topic you want to discuss. What is a disbalance in life, right? Um, well, actually, you're from India, but you're a lady, so maybe your views in balance is a bit different. I'm guessing that you so far have been most of your life has been in your family home. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right.
So, how do you see balance in life from your life perspective so far?
Okay. For me, like a balance is about having just a sort of happiness in your life. Like what I have experienced, like if you are happy in your life, you see everything good, you see everything is balanced. But sometimes if you're not happy or not satisfied with something, it goes in your mind again and again that okay, I'm not happy somewhere, like something is not working properly. For example, the most common thing in software engineers is to balance their work life as well as their like office life. Because in our work is I'm sorry, health as well as office. Health is something sitting for long hours on a chair. Most of the students get their rib cage problem, like
Oh,
spine problem, and then they are just like, okay, I do not want to work, and then they say that I am having problem, I am having balance, not having so much balance. This is what I have found in my friend circle. But if you are sitting for so long and if you are getting paid so high, no one will say that my life is not balanced. They will say, yeah, yeah, I'm getting so much high paid, so I can go to gym and balance my life. So for me, balancing a life is when you see yourself happy, you see yourself satisfied in working for a day. When you wake up in the morning, you are happy from yourself. You see your life is balanced. And if you are not happy, for example, not like I can say Robin is not connected with his parents because he's in Portugal. He may not be connected so much because physically he may not be connected. So he somewhere must have been felt that okay, I'm not with my parents, so I need to balance my life with my parents. I do not know honestly, but this is just a possibility I can think. For Neerav and me, I know we are in my like we are in a family. We live with our home, so we can balance that parent's life. Now, what comes to her is to go out and to balance life with you guys, you Andre, Robin. That is something what we need to balance, or to go for a health for a gym and balance life there, the health of our life. So where I see this balance, what is I found is if I'm happy, I'm balanced. If I'm not happy, I will not be satisfied with myself. I will figure out the ways why I am not happy. Then I will find okay, I need some timetable for myself. I need some schedule for myself. That's how I see balancing of life.
Nice. So you tie it to the word concept of happiness. That's good as a end result. Andre, any words on like trying to find balance? You have most years from us in your life. How do you see balance in life?
Mhm. Guys, of course, because what we do now, my opinion, it's one of the most important things in life because this is already balance, yeah? When we can share our stories, our examples, and we can talk about life. For me, balance is even it's one of from my teachers uh, from Advaita Vedanta. His name Ramesh Balsikar. His teacher Nisargadatta Maharaj. His ex teacher is Ramana Maharshi. In India, almost everybody knows these names. And Advaita Vedanta, it's not very popular like Buddhism or something else, but somehow people also know. And Advaita says that acceptance of life, acceptance at the present moment, what it is around you. That's way to be in balance. That's way for your peaceful and harmony life in a daily life, I would say. Yeah, and somehow only few months, maybe when I come back from malaria in Porto, acceptance only come to me. It's mean I accept that my life is here. I need to be if I want to have my life, my my present life. I mean, because I cannot come back. Yeah? Otherwise, it's risky to lose this life. Yeah, and I need to be here, and I have a friends, and I have nice. So everything okay. And I just how wait, I live here more than 1 month. So just maybe 1 month because it was all time fighting in my mind that my life should be different. So I teach people how to do this, but inside of my mind it already was like a kind of strike, disagreement. And I have for you guys also very interesting story. So as you know, I'm working as a psychologist, as a therapist, and I love to tell stories about my clients, of course, without names, without all details. So I have one client. He already maybe 6, 7 months every twice per week he comes to me, and he live in another city from Kiev. He have money, he have house, and so he divorced his wife. He have another girl in Kiev, and he have another girl on his city. But on his city, this girl, she have relationship with one big boss. So he's scared to have a problem with this boss, and he thinking, okay, I will go to Kiev. I come back from Kiev. After that, I will continue a little bit with my ex-wife, and he have another work, another project. So he's all time busy. And yesterday night, he sent me message. We are watching with Robin TV, and he sent me a message. Please, can you work with me now? I sent tell him, of course, in 5 minutes. Let's start. And he tell me exactly right stories. what all sages or what all religion says. So he's already bought ticket to, so because he don't want drive with the car, he wants to avoid this police checkpoint. So he took a ticket for a bus. So next day he must go in Kiev to see this girl, and he's just, and now in Kiev +3, it is no snow. So he just walked a little bit from house, and he how to so he dropped, yeah, and he break leg in 3 places, and after that, ambulance pick up him, brought in hospital, and in hospitals they make for him operation. So and after that he wake up and he contact me, and he tell, now I understand that all my mind's projects, it's really nothing. Because you see, without snow, without anything else, he just walk 5 minutes from his house, and they're like in forest, and it's exactly right example that we can buy ticket for a train, for a plane, for a submarine, even we can buy ticket. You know the stories when the stupid guys pay millions for submarine, and all of them died. Yeah. So, and what else? He bought ticket. He already took decision go to Kiev, and he break leg in 3 places. But he's young. He's 25, so he's okay for. But 3 weeks, 3 months now he need to stay at home on bed. I told him, look, that's a very good opportunity for you. You can read book, you can take a rest now, and you don't have possibility go for 3 women. I think only your ex-wife come to you. So that's very good example how we can have project, mind is work, but we'll see what's happened in our real life. Something like this. It's
So
like, for example, before I dressed only black. All my life, I have all my sweaters, all my dress was black. My wife pushed me so many times to dress something else. I have so many stuff, but this orange stuff that you gave to me, I wash, I dry with a hair dryer, and I wear next day because I like orange now. How it can change in my mind? See, maybe because
yes.
of Portugal.
Well, I think it comes there that I like the version of where Akshali's version and yours are we happy in the moment, right? Are we happy today, this week? But life changes. It just changes. We don't know. We can't always predict. We can plan, but we cannot predict, right? And for instance, Nirav, although he's probably on the verge of a business trip, he doesn't know. He can't plan because he doesn't know, right? And that's actually a good version of it. But once we kind of rack up experiences, we're like, oh, we can do this, we can do that, we can do that. Our mind starts to plan, make projects. But coming back to it, are we in balance now? Even if we try to make those projects in the future, are we balanced now? Are we happy now? Um, I can clearly say I think most of us are not. Through social or society. I mean, society, culture. We're all pushed to do something, right? And if we are conscious enough and fortunate enough to be strong and stay in the now and find that balance in this moment, I think that would be, a big achievement to keep that as a strong um, skill in life, right? If we can. But yeah, so all right. Thanks for putting in there finding balance in life. And Robin, are you? I mean, now that you kind of shift, I mean, you've rethought of what you were doing. You've rethought. You kind of looked at what was going on. How do you feel now? Like, do you feel in balance, making a change in how you approach your kind of your focus right now?
Yeah, like you said, like whether to have balance every day, every week, every month. So for me, I think it's on a weekly basis because there are certain events that I would like to go to, and they happen usually on Tuesdays and Wednesdays evenings. So I try to put more focus on work and rest of the days. Also having less to no alcohol, because that also kind of affects your weekdays, you know. So probably I'm gonna skip the alcohols on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, because in a bar when you have like quiz nights or game nights, that's always a thing. Like people will start drinking, and you never know what you how many drinks you end up with. So that's a conscious effort I put into it. That no more alcohol during the weekdays. Weekends is fine, you know. We'll see. So yeah, that's how I'm trying to find balance.
Uh,
Because this is
regular.
all new to me, you know. Like people are experienced with these kind of things. Okay, weekdays you must not drink. You know?
But you see here, the funny thing is, you see, you're experiencing it quite recently, right?
Mm.
But for me, this is a teenage process. For many in the West, experimenting with alcohol and even drugs is in the teenage process, and that's how it goes out. But all right, okay. Um, Actually, I'm gonna come back to you. Anything from your week you would like to share or put into perspective? Um, Anything. I mean, we've got doubts even as well, blockers, inspirations, lessons learned, great experiences. Anything you would like to share with us? Your life.
Okay. So I would like to share about inspiration.
Inspiration, okay?
Yeah. So, like what inspires me is about, like, first inspiration is all my teachers.
Oh, your what? Sorry, can you repeat?
Teachers.
Teachers, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, like I have good personalities as inspiration, but only I take some of their thoughts. But the main, for example, you are my mentor. I have some more mentors in India, and I have some teachers to train me. Then comes my parents who inspire me, who are very I can say, who supports me when whatever I want to do. So there comes my inspiration. First teachers, second parents, and third, of course, is my best friends. So that is very important. Like your friends play a very important role to inspire you, and they push you upwards towards your success. So this is what I have got in my life, and rest of inspirations are, I can say, books. Reading good books, getting more knowledge from the books is very important. I do not like to listen too much to podcasts of talk, for example, in motivational talks, or I rather than that I like to read books which inspires you and which have, just like Andrew, there are many people who share their life experience on blogs, on Medium or some sort of that. So they are very short and sweet, and they are easy to understand. I like to go with those part of taking as an inspiration. And
Good.
inspiration is, yeah.
Actually, let's zoom into one. Go back to your last week. Any something specific like that
Okay.
really came out of it?
Okay. So last week, um, what I have done is, I think, LinkedIn after your class.
Okay.
I think so, because most of the time I have done is the work, company work. After that, I have spare some time for the LinkedIn and have great connections over there. So after your LinkedIn class, I just used that algorithm, and I just went to some group. I did some comments. I got a reward back from one of the company from Pakistan, and on Wednesday I will be having a short introduction call with them. So there comes, like, I just use the same strategy, liking the post, commenting, and asking open dialogue question. So from there, and I have also shared you about Don's team. He's a AR/VR consultant in Austria, and he from last 6 months I was trying to reach him, but because of your strategy, I easily reached him, and he assured me that he will be taking me into consideration whenever he will be consulting with startups. So that was good part what I had last week. Rest of them was as usual normal. I did not had any sort of changes. What I can say.
Uh, I'm gonna write it down. Staying. I put it down as warm and cold. Right. If you approach people cold, big chance they stay closed. Big chance. It's normal. We do the same, but you applied the warmness as you would probably, do the same thing in real life. And there you saw that on a social platform, a social media platform like LinkedIn, you got more people to open up more meaningfully, right? My tip is keep doing that. Once you kind of open up, then the connection is open, but then it's about keeping the relationship, right? And so keep paying attention to their posts, showering them with warmth. And I'm quite sure that you're nurturing a social connection to be more fruitful, to blossom into something, right? It's the same concept. It is exactly the same concept. When we want to grow something, we have to sow first, nurture the grounds, add some water, give it some love, and something will grow out of it. The same is for relationships with people. Great. When approached cold. Very nice. I'm very happy that it's working out for you so well because, of course, you have already a strong profile, right? Actually, you already have many thousands of followers. You already speak. However, in the eyes of many professionals, you're still a junior. So you still need to add more warmth so that experienced professionals who are not in the Indian market, who have not seen you on interviews, are more perceptive of opening themselves to you. So looking forward to see how that develops. So coming back, Nirav, any thoughts on like how this potential travel can be, what you would like to have more to think like, hey, I would like to experience that more to add balance in your life, or to add to something that you feel like there's a disbalance?
I don't know, but only thing I am concerned that, not concerned that I'll be happy that I'll be having some freedom, I can say.
Freedom. Oh, let's add that. Freedom. Hold on. It's a value in life. Let's add that. Having friends, building beautiful moments, having fair, being satisfied, finding your purpose in life and following it, finding balance. Hey, value in life. Yeah. So freedom.
Freedom of anything.
Can
Freedom
you
to
maybe
what?
elaborate that? Like, how do you see that? Like, why is it now freedom? Because if you see freedom in this trip, it means that there was maybe not freedom in something else. How do you see that?
Yeah, there will be no parents, I can say, with me. So no any social constraint or anything else. For me, this social constraint is the biggest problem. So let's see how it goes in my trip.
Yeah, so the social constraint is a big blocker, although I think we had that cultural conditions. I think we had the social thing here, where we talked about the Asian culture being more conservative, more protecting, the children when they
Yes.
grow up. I must say, you are taking those social conditions, the cultural conditions with you. They're in your mind. The challenge is the freedom is to find a way to allow your mind to give you the freedom that you're actually looking for.
Yeah, right. At
Okay.
least I can think
Yes.
easy, freely.
Yes, think freely. That's yeah, think freely. Um, and I think um, so in the West, I am through my experience, of course, growing up in the Netherlands, while being young, I was confronted with having a strong Asian culture from my parents, but trying to break free, like you wanted to go out, but how can you go out when you're an Asian youngster who's geared to study and go to university, maybe even become a doctor? You cannot go out. You cannot drink and become drunk, right?
Yeah.
That's the clash that Westerners have earlier on. It's tough, but I think it shapes earlier. It shapes your minds earlier, and I'm not saying which one is correct or wrong. I'm not saying that. It's just a different way of um,
Hmm.
you know
Yeah.
seeing life. I kind of I'm gonna take that uh, perspective, and I sometimes also, now I'm not trying to make this religious. I don't want to make it religious, but some religions, when they start out, they have these, maybe not even some, but many. They have a lot of rules, right?
Mm.
And the followers of the religions, I think over the ages, meaning centuries of the religion, follow it very strongly. And until a moment, then people are more free and they get disconnected. So, and they experience more other things that maybe contradict the rules of that religion or the book of wisdom. But it doesn't mean that all those people are worse because they no longer follow it, right? Like, i'm just I'm going to take Christianity as a point of reference. um, Look at where in the past Christianity has although the Bible is probably a very inspiring book, right? A lot of people are inspired by it. It does not cancel out the periods in the belief where, through following the rules of the priests, or those leaders, they did some things, right? Like things that you can think like, wow, that was not good per se, right? um, but those times also are needed to get the followers to evolve to other thoughts. That's what I'm trying to say. So even when we grow up, I think through whether it's our parents, our social conditions, we're there are some rules in life that we have to follow, and some of them might turn out not so great. But it is through that struggle that we find freedom, right? Because first we're not so free, but only then afterwards we can understand what freedom can mean more. Does that make sense? So
Hmm.
it's part of it. We need to have that phase. Some of us have too much of it. Some of us, don't have enough of it. But it definitely is
Hmm.
part of the phase in life.
And I think this will, I mean, about my trip, this will also help to my parents also. So that's
In,
yeah, that's what I'm thinking right now, because it will help them to understand me better. Because whenever I go somewhere for 1 or 2 day trip, they just keep calling me that where you are, what you are doing. So this Kerala trip will be a very long days of. So let's see how they will react. Maybe they will understand that okay, now it's time to
have you ever
do this
been,
something little.
how, I mean,
Worrying.
this trip might take you away from home 2 or 3 weeks, or maybe even longer.
Yeah.
We don't know. But in your past, how long have you been away from home? The longest?
Maximum 4 days max.
Okay. All right.
And they kept worrying. They kept calling me 3 times a day, and I didn't like it. So maybe this my Kerala trip will teach them or something. I can say it's not a good
Um,
word, but maybe they learn something that now I've become an adult. So let him do his thing
I
on
think
his
they do
own
it
way.
out of love. So let's take that as first. You know, all
Yeah, I
parents
know, but too much
who
love is not is a poison. So at least
I see that happening in my current life, and I might have kids who are teenagers, and I clearly see it when the control is too much.
mm,
I see them rolling their eyes, and if the like we turn our backs to them, I know that they'll have some other like gestures that are not so friendly, right? Not so respectful. Um, yeah, that fight about control and freedom, I think it's a very interesting part of life. And it's not just with your parents, it will happen with your employer, it will happen with your spouse, it will happen with your kids. So it's a
mm,
continuous, you know, life experience, actually. Uh, so I would actually say freedom and control. Okay. It
mhm.
has to come together. You're gonna have
Yeah.
to struggle through it, find joys and sadness in both of it. I think a big part of related to that.
Sure.
All right. um I'd like to, I mean, we've got values now, right? Values one. Inspirations we have, we touched a bit on blockers. I'd like to zoom into one that happened to me yesterday. So I understand, of course, in the business that I am in, technology, um, helping talents to, find better lives, whether it's work, but more the life, right? And of course, in that pursuit, especially now, we have three Indian, members of this podcast right now, right? With all looking towards like the West, kind of, as a source of inspiration or how life can be. Yesterday, I'm not sure, I mean, many of you know about the story where I've been led by my wife during Christmas to help this old gentleman called Enrique, 91 years old, living by himself. The local cafe that I sometimes visit feeds him during the week. And now on Sundays, my wife and I feed him, meaning we provide food, we visit him, spend an hour and help out. Now, the first thing, how this gentleman of 91 can become alone at his age. Apparently, he says his daughter is dead or something, or there's some view of him. But we hear that his daughter is there, still in the region. So that shows another side of freedom, right? Where youngsters or can become very disconnected with their family. I am one of them, I would say. I mean, I'm not that bad. I speak to my parents still every year a couple of times, but I'm not the relationship is not strong. Um, but it does worry me, right? Like in the Western society, there's more there are more elderlies, right? The social crisis here in the West is that there are more older people. So society is changing, but this is also what you see happen is that many elderlies get lonely, and it's not just elderly, by the way. It is also people who have not yet reached um, the age to retire. So the loneliness, the the poverty is also on the rise. So while your view of freedom can be great, like, hey, the West, you're more free, you earn a bit more money, you live by yourself, it also shows that, the Western um, societies have also reached its limits, meaning that freedom, having the power to earn money, to focus on yourself, is not leading to a more prosperous environment for all. Does that make sense? So, with that said, I do see those doubts. Like, for me, it's like, yes, helping other people to find a better life usually involves earning more money. But then I see society, the current society, not being able to care for many elderlies, uh, more people who find themselves lonely. So be cautious in that, right? Like, there are some darker sides that, um, maybe from the South Asian continent, India, Pakistan, is not seen when you look at the West, but it is there, right? It definitely is there. Life is not easy, um, especially when, you know like, when you're by yourself. Freedom for yourself, yes, it's okay. But if you want to form a family, if you have to pay for childcare and all of those things combined, then there's a lot more headache, a lot more stress than the lives and the cultural ways of South Asia. Does that make sense? Because there you can rely on on support. There's a logical set of support, culturally set, because you're living together, right? In the West, that becomes unknown. Okay? Now, it's not something to be sad about, it's just a fact, right? But do take those things in life. That the Western way is not a guaranteed ticket for more money, so I'm gonna enjoy life more. No, there's a lot of yeah, sides of it that deserve to be seen more, but obviously isn't. But so that bothers me a bit. Oh, the other thing that actually um, is kind of making me more conscious is where I live. They officially start to say we don't have enough water to get through the year. Not enough water to get through the year. They're
Even
trying
if
to
you pay,
force. What? Sorry?
even if you pay.
Yeah, we pay. We pay.
Mm.
I pay for my drinking water because the local waters coming out of the local systems is too much chlorine, so we smell it, so we don't like to drink it. So even if we pay, there is not enough water. Drought is real. Um, so the funny thing is that our gas heater, our warm, we have a system to heat up the water with gas. It broke down. It's been broken down for I think almost, well, 4 or 5 days now. It means there's no hot water. It means that we cannot take a hot shower. It means that we're using less water. So, well, I'm okay with taking cold showers, and I know that when I take a cold shower, I use maybe well, like 5% of the water that I would normally use during a hot shower, right? So I'm throwing this point here that, doubts and troubles in life. I think this has become more real for me, right? Like last year, I've had, okay, my landlord canceled my lease, and suddenly I'm thrown into the sector of, high leases, right? Like everything is more expensive. Drought is coming, so it's a time where I'm like, okay, you have to adapt. You have to not get used to what you were used to. That's real. Of course, Andrei has it with his war, right? Russians invaded. Nothing is the same. Nothing is the same. So um, I think that's also one of the points here is things we need to be ready to just adapt and face that the world is changing. I'm actually, you see drastic life changes. I would say here drought. So drought. There we go. Lack of water. I think we'll be fine. It's not that we just need to adapt. I mean, the guideline that the governments are asking is like, can we reduce 15 or 20%? Well, cold water. I'm using 5%. I've been capturing water from rain. Like during the last rain streak of a couple of days, we captured 250 liters of rainwater. So now we're like using that to water the plants, and I'm even considering to use that to flush my toilets. I mean, I have to really put effort into it, right? But hey, if that's what's needed, then that's the new reality.
Mhm. How do you store the water? You have a big tank or something in your house?
Well, so when we made the move, um, we wanted to organize things. So we bought these 50-liter plastic containers you just store things in. However, they came with a smell. They came with plastic smell, so it's plastic, right? So my wife was still keeping them outside, and suddenly they were taking in water. We're like, okay, we can use them to capture water. It takes out the scent of the plastic, you know. And when the dry season comes, we'll use them to store our stuff. But for now, we have yesterday I used 50 liters to just water the plants of the condominium, the complex that I live at, just because it was a week already without rain. So, all right. Anyway, these things are coming at us. That's why I wanted to mention it here. These are real, and it's just part of life now. Okay, let's do another round. Like actually, anything else? You started saying inspiration, something else last week you wanted to share. It could be a lesson learned. It could be anything else or a worry that you have, if you have a worry. Because by the way, one of the cultural things is I know that some people don't like to talk direct about bad things happening or worries. In my version of living life, live it, experience those bad things, talk about it, and see the light, see a solution. you know so if you want to talk about something that is more confrontational, be my guest as well.
Okay. So I want to talk about blockers in life.
All right.
What blocks you?
Mm-hmm.
And here I can add, as Nirav said, about parents in India. And yeah, I do feel same. Like there is some culture problems. Yeah, I can see that. And especially for girls, it's more now. It has been from so long for girls. You are mostly kept inside house. You and when you want to go for office, like your parents double check each and everything, who is your neighbor, where you will live, what will be your food. So I think girls are kept in more comfortable zone and more controllable
Comfortable
zone.
or controlled?
Both comfortable for living in a house and controllable because they cannot go, or they cannot make their decisions without parents. This is with all of the students. This is a problem here. Like as I know in Western culture, at the age of 18 or somewhere around that, you are being freed by your parents to take your decisions and move ahead with your, I can say, your career. You
That's
can
what
do
we
that.
want. All right, we in the West
Exactly.
want that, but the kids nowadays stay longer at home.
Yeah, but in India, so like this is the problem that your what you want to do in career, what will be your future, you have to take each and every decision by approval from your parents. This is it is here for each and every friend I am having. Without your parents' approval, it is very difficult until and unless your parents are not very, very free mind. You have to take approvals. For example, if you want to go on a trip, or if you want to go for some higher studies, so approval is important for parents. And I see that as a blocker somewhere, because what I understand is parents are good, like they have positive impact in your life, but sometimes they do not understand what decision you are making may affect you. For example, blocking someone to go somewhere else and do office work may block you to be more experienced than the students who are of your age. That's what I feel. For example, I can say one of my friend is in Microsoft currently, and he's working there. But because it's in Noida, and I think like it's somewhere red zone of India, it has most of the crimes. So if I get a selection in Microsoft and I go for Noida, my parents will not send. Definitely, they will not send me. Even if it's a trip, I'm definitely sure one of my family member will come with me for this type of areas. So there I can say there is a blocker. I cannot get a free condition where I can just live my life. I can just communicate with more professionals. I can just go and just have a
Hmm.
coffee time with them, understand. That's what where I need approval, and approval gets me blockers for most of the professions and most of my connections, most of my, making a professional network. Only or it does not work if you just work it on, only social online. You have to be present physically somewhere or around. You have to be there. So there comes the blocker. What I
Yes,
know, what I have felt.
but it comes from. I mean, I have I personally have had many blockers towards my parents um, through what they did when punishment verbally and physically. You know, I mean, I can say it, right. Asian parents think they can a lot. I mean, in the culture, it's not just Asian. In the Western culture, there was a time as well where parents were allowed to hit their kids. It was considered as normal, right? Um, Now being a parent myself, I've hit my son, and I remember that the other day I forced myself to hit my daughter so that it was fair. I did it with pain in my heart, but I had to do it because, or else my son would say, "See, Dad, you're favoring my sister because she's smaller, but she did something very bad, and you know." So I did it with pain in my heart, um, and that's I think what we parents do. We do it from what we think is love. We do how we were taught what love was, right? So I don't blame I mean, I am grateful to my parents, but I definitely do understand, and they do understand that, I had to break away from them to build the life as I am now, right? It's surely not a life in their view of what they thought I would do, but I think this is part of life. And they do block. But it's not just parents per se. I'm also pulling back. Religion can do that, right? Religion can also do block. Um, well, there's a lot of things out there in the world that will either force us to do something or block us to do. But Andre, you've had alcoholism, right? So hey, what if so there's a block in Gujarat for not drinking alcohol, right? But then you let it free, and then you get people who are addicted to alcohol. So see, it works. It comes with both, and I think it balances out life experiences. You can go one experience to the extreme, and then you get the other, right? Like, let's face it, this topic, if I think of girls being, more controlled, in India, in the West, we see a lot of stories in India about girls and women being raped, correct? Well, the culture says you cannot have sex before you marry, correct? So now the question is, do you Indians see the Western world as being, um, hey, girls are being raped too much because there's too much sex before marriage? It's a question.
No, no, I do not see that because it's their independency and it's their life and it's their control what they want to do. So that's not like, it is, we cannot like compare from Western girls from like Asian girls or Indian girls. And like when you go Western girls, if they have some sort of this type of activities, like they are doing it on their own with their happiness. But
Well,
in
so
India,
it's there.
it is
Rape is everywhere, by the way, right? It is
yeah.
everywhere, but it's like it's somehow less extreme, maybe. I don't know, I don't have the statistics. I'm just saying that from the West, when we look at how girls are treated sometimes in the in cultures like India or Islamic cultures, sometimes we feel like, oh, we hear those stories about inequality, right? And that's here in the West, I think more is loose. Of course you have struggles, but I think we get to deal with them in a more natural way. Alcohol the same. Drugs is kind of, I mean, I grew up in the Netherlands, so it's there, but it somehow doesn't become that much of a problem. Does it make sense? Like, rules are meant to control us out of fear of what else can happen, right? Because that's it. Our parents control us because they fear that something can happen. But life actually shows that it will happen anyway. I mean, look at Andrei's case, being a refugee now because Russia is bombing Ukraine, right? So even if you're trying to protect everything with rules and controls, life will always have chaos. Always have chaos, right? So maybe that's an interesting point to end, that control we have in life, but chaos as well. It keeps each other in balance. So with that said, I'd like to conclude our hour of living life as balance. We I think that was the core talk of this talk, but it had everything. Oh, Robin, go ahead. Robin, are you there with us?
Guys hearing?
Well, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, we need to ask Andre how his week was.
Well, I think Andre had a whole story, so I think, and I know what his view in life. But Andre, do you have something specific in the week to share, specifically?
Guys, I have very nice story, but for the next our meeting.
That's very
It's
good.
outstanding story, but I keep this in for the next time.
Very perfect. Very good. Well, let's next week. Let's start with Andre. I'd love to hear that story. But so far, hopefully, these thoughts that we have discussed have helped you to, calm down your thoughts, and let's keep on going with the week. So I wish you all having a wonderful, happy, balanced, productive week. All right. Thanks, everyone.